So now it's working. When you hear the music, you'll know it's started. I think we're live. Do you see it live? I don't see video. Oh, I see it. All right. You are listening, and maybe in some places in the world, you are watching an episode of Transparency and Merit with Brian and Joe. And we have an emergency of sorts on our hands tonight. We have a diabetic craving sugar.
I am craving sugar right now at the moment. Part of me wants to. I actually want. I have the urge. It died down a little bit, Joe. I'll be honest with you, but I did have the urge to go buy some, either a candy bar or some kind of sugary treat for myself, and
I bet you maybe the small amount of butterflies that may come from going live may also help ease the urge for that sugar, or is the urge for sugar just shining right through the butterflies of starting a live show?
now I cannot post this video on. I think I've, and now it's really hurting me. I cannot post. I cannot post my video on Facebook right now. Get a room.
What I think that is a sign that Facebook does not care.
Facebook probably doesn't care, and it's probably. And I'm still on this one. I'm on.
Well, why don't you just tell us about your what's going on?
Well, I'm craving sugar. And yeah, won't let me. Why won't let me post? Unbelievable. Ugh. Facebook is not working well for me today, so I'm just going to close out of Facebook.
I do want to say that, boy, did we luck out this time. Transparency and Merit. We've just received that music you heard at the beginning was made for us to use, and we appreciate Senor Blanco, Mr. White, for giving us this amazing holiday treat. It's kind of a mind blower, but I couldn't have asked for better music. It's so, I can't wait as we progress and add things to our intro to have that just very right there in the mix. And nothing sets the tone for a good show like a good lead in like that.
Yeah, that would probably be true. You know something, Joe? I get the urge, and lately I have, the battle of wills. I have been losing, but today I think I'm going to win the battle of wills. Uh, but there are times when it's the cravings are overwhelming, and I'm going to have it.
You should start with a routine. So when the urge to eat sugar strikes you, maybe you should have something that you have to do. Like once, I'm just brainstorming. I'm not an advisor in any
Right.
way of the sort. But what if you get a urge for sugar or a craving for something sweet, and instead you give yourself 5 push-ups or something, or 2 push-ups, and work your way up. Um, give yourself a healthy outlet before you give into the weak outlet.
Hmm.
Do you have something like that in place? Have you ever tried something like that?
Um, you know what I have, but at the end of the day, like Joe, have you ever tried not eating sugar?
Yes.
And if you really wanted it and you've had the craving, what, what did you do to stop the craving?
Unlike you, I really enjoy healthy foods. So I bought a bunch of, oh, wait, no, they're inside. I bought a bunch of these bars that are really good. I'm forgetting the name of them, but like the Kind bars, and they've got nuts and fruits and stuff, and even chocolate or some caramels and some of them. And I love them, and it's a very small amount, but it's packed with protein.
Mm,
So um, usually that stops me from going and getting a donut or cookies or something far worse, I think. But I don't know. I don't have too much of a sugar problem to begin with. But I do have my moments where I just will eat candy after cake, and just until I get sick. And it's happened a few times. So, but on your typical day like today, yeah, no, not too much heavy cravings for sugars.
yeah, I mean, but I'll tell you, there are times that I do, and it's
Well, that's an imbalance. There's an imbalance somewhere. So, if what I would do is I would look up, like when I have sleepiness or whatever it is, something happens, I look into it from a holistic or a more like herbal approach. And it just seems like there's something for everything in the herbal world, which I enjoy. I enjoy trying it, even if they don't always work. Um, Cacao. Have you ever tried cacao? Oh, my. Okay, I remember now. My favorite substitute for chocolate and for sweets was cacao beans, raw cacao. And it's some people have likened it to almost like a very mild, almost like cocaine in a way. It's a strong alkaloid, I think. Um, anyways, yeah, the raw cacao had a lot of really beneficial properties to it. It's just sweet enough to pass, and yeah, highly recommended. You, if you like nuts, because I noticed you do like nuts. Um,
yeah.
raw cacao beans, which you can order online, and you just take a handful of it and chew on it, and it's super effective and really good. And now it just made me wonder why I don't have any at home right now. But I've had them around for years now. It's one of my oldest tricks that I possess. My cravings bag of tricks.
Mm, cacao beans. Yeah, that might work.
Highly recommended. Uh, what else? What do you crave most? Carbs, sugar?
Sugar, carbs. Like, I
'Cause
mean,
that's the same thing, you know.
right now I'm craving. At one of the local gas stations, they have these, like they call fruit slices. They're gelatin type of candy that right now I'm really craving it and I really want it, but I think I right now I can kind of fight the craving a little bit better today than I have in the past. I mean, some days I can fight it, other days there's no fight. I mean, I'm gonna partake in that. I'm gonna, and I mean, today is just the first day that I'm fighting it, and I could relapse at like any moment. Like my craving for sugar could overwhelm me. It's not overwhelming at the moment, but it's a persistent nagging. So I
Mm.
wonder if it's going to be like a toothache.
You need
So
something to throw it off. You just need to out. You got to know it's mental.
now I didn't eat this today, but I still
No,
have
I'm
this in.
just saying in general, these games your body plays with you are all they're all tricks. They're all illusions. They can easily be tricked, just like you're being tricked.
Well, my craving is real. Um, the desire is real.
Is it? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
desire itself is real. Do
You've
I
been
want to
reading
give
a
it?
lot of weird self-help books, I think.
No, well, it might be a self-help book, but
If
it was
there's where is your common sense in that response, though? That's what I want to know. Where is your common sense? Is your common sense the one that's telling you that, or is it something you've seen somewhere, something that somebody's told you to believe or accept as being valid?
well, I may have heard it somewhere else, but because you hear, like if you browse the internet as I do and look at all kinds of stuff, there are things that are going to resonate with you, and there are things that are not going to resonate with me. And when someone said, like real or imagined, well, uh, I have a pinched nerve. My pain is not imagined; it's real. And my cravings, they're real. They're not they're not imagined. They are actually they are a part of me, and they are with me. And I don't like it, but it is what it is. You know.
So, so one of the modalities that I was heavily trained in is cognitive behavioral therapy. You would be the prime candidate for CBT therapy
Cognitive, yeah, yeah.
because what it does is it goes into these you've kind of set up your own set of archetypes and you view the world like you have a very compartmentalized way of looking at the world, and that box is very rigid, and cognitive behavioral therapy goes into each of those boxes and retools how to perceive the different angles in the box and the decision to buy that color box and what information have you stored in that box, and gives a whole new way of kind of um, taking these ideas, these archetypes, and really whatever resonates will be the path that you'd be kind of worked down. But I've seen it be incredibly effective, and I see a lot of times a lot of things that you say or claim that you're helpless against are severe manifestations, and that's easy to see. Those are easy to those to me. It's almost it's like seeing a stop sign off in the distance, and these all of these boxes, these archetypes, could stand to be explored. I won't. I'm just kind of giving you what I would say to anybody, really. But in your case, yeah, for sure, man. You've accepted a lot of defeat, and so that's why that cognitive behavioral therapy really, as far as the evidence-based modalities, the more effectively, or I wouldn't say more effective, but the more common, widely prescribed methods of therapy, CBT is always at the top of the list. A
You know,
lot of people.
it's something that I haven't tried before, and like I guess looking for that kind of therapist. I don't know, like if even because I have good insurance, but I don't know if my insurance would even cover
They
something
do.
like that.
Oh, they do. Especially because yeah. Anyways, yeah. If you're somebody that already goes and sees a psychiatrist, for example, it's almost backwards in a way. Like the recommendation for many people would be to go seek out a little bit of therapy, and then, and I never do this. I just don't. But you seem to have a legitimate you know issue, and there's within that desire to eat sweets and that urge, that unbeatable craving that's striking. There's so much packed into that one feeling of yours. So imagine all of your feelings being kind of put open and dissected in a similar way. Be real life changing. In I wouldn't say this. I wouldn't say that therapy is the only way to get there. Certainly, there's a lot of other ways, but a lot of ways are shut down at the moment. I always say
Yeah,
travel is probably the best way to beat that. It's the best way to retrain your brain how to think. It really dissolves all kinds of archetypes in our brains when you go and see a different place. So and get kind of intermingle with the different things you can intermingle with. So yeah, lot of ways to defeat problems. It's all a matter of what's comfortable and what's available at the moment.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's just it is a rather difficult thing, and I wonder how successful cognitive therapy is for individuals who have destructive eating patterns.
Yeah, being an evidence-based modality, there's been studies across the board on the efficacy of cognitive behavioral therapy. So look into it if that's something that you think. I always I like mindfulness, and mindfulness is different from CBT. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and but I think it's a little bit more difficult, and I think CBT is almost a prerequisite for mindfulness. So once you learn how different ideas can be reformed and you could look at things from different angles, then then you're really in a position to get into a thing like mindfulness, which is more um, of a structured
And
discipline.
and,
It's a
and
discipline.
just so the audience knows that's listening, CBT is uh, cognitive behavioral therapy. That's CBT.
Right.
And I'm going to study that and take a look at that in action.
Mhm.
I've written down in journals, I've written down when I'm hungry. Like I said, I'm a compulsive overeater, and I have gone the fasting route. I can. It's easier for me to fast than it is for me to diet and eat the right foods. Once I eat something, then the craving for the foods that I desire becomes that's when the cravings for the foods that I desire come over. I can fast easy because I fasted almost 6 days, but once I eat something, all of my food desires come back, and that's my bigger struggle is eating the right thing after I have fasted.
Look for the last name Beck, Beck, in the late 60s and into the 70s. Beck basically created what's now known as cognitive behavior therapy.
Yeah.
And
Um,
yeah.
because lots of times things that are recognized by the government and things that are uh, recognized by the establishment, a lot of times they're wrong, particularly with regards to education, with regards to therapy, maybe even with regards to medicine. There are things that they know at the moment, but then they get it wrong. So I will look into that. I mean, that is an cognitive behavioral therapy. What? How do you define cognitive? I can't hear you.
Yeah. So what was your question again? What is
Yeah.
cognitive?
What is cognitive?
So our cognitions are developed at a very early age. We start putting things together. There are associations in our brain. So we at an early age, we associate, a barking dog maybe with something we see on TV where a boy gets bitten by a dog, and suddenly we have this uncontrollable fear of dogs. A dog barked at us. We think of a dog biting someone, even though we weren't bit. We may have this pre-established idea of what a barking dog will do, and it may cause I've seen people with irrational fears of dogs and have never had a bad experience with a dog or never been bitten by a dog. So these are kind of okay. So but the actual these are parts of our. This is how we come up with ideas and theories and cognitions. Um,
So would you
involves our
consider
conscious intellectual activities also. So just our thinking and reasoning, being able to remember. These are all parts of our cognitive ability.
it a pre-existing thought process,
Yeah, yeah,
just as a pre-existing condition,
hmm
uh,
absolutely.
pre-existing thought
They can
process?
be. They can be, but they right. So what we see right now through our eyes may trigger a billion different thoughts or images, memories, and these are all part of. It's basically just the relationship of all of these things, your past and present makeup, what you're thinking, and what it's, what is it related to? And so yeah, that's kind of the gist. So it's basically looking at going into your earliest memories. I also like another therapy, but it's a little more specialized. It's called object relations therapy, and I that was the one modality that I really took to and kind of made it my own while I was studying it. Really enjoyed it, but object relation therapy is really interesting, that people get attached to something like food at such an early age. It actually, depending on the person, but food could have replaced the love of a parent that they weren't receiving. They took so much care, they took such a liking to, say, food as an escape from bad thoughts, or scary things, or a missing lack of love, some imbalance of nurturing, and they put all their marbles into something like food, and then food becomes this obsession that throughout their lifetime only grows and expands. And so I always liked object relations therapy to figure out, what people were first, what really captured their conscious mind.
And I wonder if it is more apt, and particularly in America, amongst people that are poor who have fixations with food, more than people with means and financial security.
Certainly, yeah, certainly is a huge difference, but it's almost like the training I went through, um, which meant so much more to me, because I was helping people with no money, and it was we built really good bonds. And when I started on a path where I was getting paid, I didn't have the same connections to my clients, but it was just different. I wouldn't say bad, whatever. Anyways, it was different, and it's kind of hard to say who receives the better therapy. Kind of, I think a good therapist treats everybody the exact same, and you know.
Well, I also would think that overeating and low impulse control also affects other things as well, and um, it makes other things kind of you know happen as well. I would be under the assumption of
Mhm.
that when you are addicted to food, that other impulses as well rely on that. And it is kind of a selfish thing, to be honest with you, Joe, and it is a destructive thing, and it's not necessarily going to endear you to other people after a while, because hey, you want to be able to like, there's and we don't live in a society where food is the one thing that is abundant, uh, but you don't want to be the kind of guy who at first I thought it was kind of funny, I'd pig out and stuff, but as I grow older, the joke kind of gets old, is me wanting the last piece of pizza or the last piece of cake, and it's to a
It's
degree a
fights
little
at
bit
the
on.
buffet line.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, buffets are no longer are no longer with us at the moment.
Thank God.
Yeah, they're not really that healthy, and it's
We're never that
pizza,
great to begin with.
and
Did you ever
I'm,
go to a buffet at like a real swanky hotel, like the Hilton? Or
oh yes,
oh man, they were those were an experience like no other. I will say those were the exception to my not liking buffets.
yeah, but they could, like I said, I would go to buffets to get more than one plateful, and usually that's all that most people always want. And sometimes they'd get a few things a second, but I'd fill my plate again with more food. And I one of the things I guess it kind of helps me is I do watch a little bit of my 600-pound life, and
Hmm.
my life is not as bad as theirs, but there are definite medical problems to being obese. Which people say I've heard people say I'm not fat, but I'm fat, and I'm obese, and I think it's probably morbidly obese is what I am, and I eat too much, and a lot of the dietary stuff that the establishment and the government has told us over the years has been perhaps wrong and incorrect. For example, breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. I don't think anymore. I think it's okay to skip it. As a matter of fact, I think it's intelligent to skip breakfast, and it's better to eat less than it is to eat more. If I could eat only one meal a day, I would do just that. If I could eat every other day, I would do just that, and I would live just fine. If I could eat every other day, I could probably cure my diabetes. Every other day, one meal. If I could do that, I could probably cure my diabetes, or if not cure it, drastically change my medical situation.
And you said something interesting though. You said that you like to watch my 600-pound life,
Yes.
and seeing that your life isn't so bad when compared to some of these worst case examples, mostly scripted TV examples. But it goes with the old saying, misery loves company.
Yeah, that's probably true. Um,
Would you say that there's an element of loneliness in your eating?
you know what, Joe? There may be an element of loneliness within my eating, but while I'm in the process of eating, uh, that doesn't really come to mind.
I mean, do you ever think of, oh, this is so good, I would have loved to share it with so and so?
You know what I enjoy, and this is the thing too. I used to sometimes really crave company, and that's one of the things that after my parents passed away, that made me kind of a little bit stronger. I want company, but I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I could do the same thing with sugar, because it becomes to a degree like it's like a need. Although I don't need it to survive or anything like that. The craving is so strong that I absolutely it becomes something that I do need, and that's when it becomes rather difficult.
Yeah, CBT all the way. CBT.
Because those cravings are going to be there, and maybe even for the rest of my life. But perhaps something like that, like CBT, cognitive.
Being able to look at those cravings from the root source would be liberating for you by listening to somebody explain these sort of things to you.
I may do that, and like I said, hopefully today I won't have any sugar. I can't make any promises to myself, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm actually kind of ready for bed,
Mm-hmm.
and Yeah, this has been Is there anything else you want to add, Joe, before we call
No,
this show? Yeah.
no,
So
just go to the website, transparencyandmerit.com. It's doing great. Go to the shop. We have some great things, shirts that you're going to love for dirt cheap prices. It's a fundraiser for Transparency and Merit. So thanks again for listening. What else you got, Brian?
well, I also say, if you have any ideas for a show that you think needs some transparency and merit, feel free to leave a comment. A lot of people don't, and yeah, I mean, I've done a few controversial subjects. I'm gonna stick off of that for a while. I still have beliefs, and sooner or later we will cover the things that maybe the mainstream doesn't cover. But at this point, this is about diet and exercise. So
What's that?
subscribe, and leave a comment down below.
That's right. All right. A little more Mr. White's great Black Beauty for us. Awesome.